Hey, I'm Tiffany. Welcome to Towering TBR. Today is the third week I'm vlogging the Amazing Readathon. If you don't know what I'm talking about or you've missed the first two, I will link them. Go watch those first because that will explain what I'm doing better. And if you're interested in learning more about the readathon, I will link Bree and her channel below. That way you can participate in the fun next time if you want. So we finally got our prompt dropped. We are staying in Africa and headed over to Madagascar, to the capital city of Antananarivo. I probably butchered that. It's really difficult to say, so I'm just going to call it Madagascar. The prompt is to read a book that has religion or gods in it. So I picked up this book that I was highly anticipating, Roses in the Mouth of a Lion by Bushra Rehman. This is about two Pakistani girls, and I think they're queer, and at least one of them is Muslim. But I only got about 40 pages in when I saw a scene that depicted animal abuse, which is one of my biggest triggers. And I thought maybe I could keep going, but just a few pages later, it was hinting that there's going to be pedophilia. And I was like, you know what? This is not the right book for me. I used to read really sad books like this all the time, and unfortunately, I am not in the same headspace. So I am DNFing this, and I decided to pick up Soulless by Gail Carriger. She is a queer author, and this is urban fantasy, so I will get both bonuses. Souls are a construct of religion, so I'm counting it. This is basically about this woman, Alexia. She is what's called a preternatural, which means basically she negates supernatural effects. So in the first scene, a vampire attacks her and tries to bite her. But as soon as he touches her, his fangs basically retract and he becomes human whilst touching her. I thought that was pretty cool. Another thing I thought was interesting is she was very offended that this vampire tried to bite her without her consent. And it's very much an alternative history where they have integrated supernatural werewolves and vampires into common society, and consent is really important. Vampires don't need to bite unwilling victims because there are people who will sign up for it basically to get a chance to be turned, essentially. They want immortal life, and they will allow the vampires to drink from them if they think that's what they'll get in return. Basically, a bunch of vampires and werewolves have gone missing, and they don't know what's going on. There's also a very strong romance subplot on this. It kind of frustrates me because it's very much a miscommunication. Oh, we made out, but then you didn't talk to me at dinner, so you must have decided it was a mistake and that you didn't like me after all. And I don't like miscommunication like that. I get that it can be realistic for some, but that kind of pulls me out. However, I am enjoying this. This is a very light, easy book, and I'm about halfway through. 150 pages, so not quite. I'm hoping I'll have enough time to finish it and submit the points. We haven't gotten our detour yet, so when we get that, I will share that with you, and I will let you know how I'm going with the book. If you saw last week's, you'll know that I am continuing 5th season over. I haven't actually read any more, so can't update you. But I am carrying this in as well. I was able to swing by the library to pick up some holds, and I got one that's called Kissing Girls on Shabbat, which is a memoir of a Jewish queer woman, and I thought that would have been really good for the romance prompt too, but I do not want to change books again unless I absolutely need to, so maybe that will work for a future prompt. It's day 17. I did not film yesterday. I did all my editing yesterday and then read a little bit at night. So I will update you when I have more. Hey, so today is day 20. I have had some poor health days. So let me catch you up on what all I've been reading. So for my book for Antananarivo, we were to read a book that had religion or gods, and she clarified it doesn't really need to be a huge theme or anything. But this is Soulless. Our main character, Alexia, is a preternatural, which means she kind of is the antidote to the supernatural powers through her touch. she can touch a werewolf and he'll turn back into a human. This was fun, but I think the romance was a little bit cringy. There's a romance between her and the alpha werewolf, and some of the scenes kind of made me cringe. So yeah, I'm not sure if I'll continue the series, but I was able to get 370 points. I decided to fly, which doubled my points to 740. And then this is a queer author and a fantasy genre, so I get an additional 100, which means I submitted this for 840 points. I had some time, so I decided to pick up a sightseeing book. This is Basil and Oregano by Melissa Capriglione. The art is cute. This is a graphic novel about a magical culinary school, and these girls are competing for top prize because they would get their tuition reimbursed. But the only positive thing I have to say is the art is cute. In terms of story, this is it doesn't make any sense. The character arcs just weren't existent, and the rules of the magic weren't well understood, and I was just scratching my head thinking, this is not a story. This is just random things that would be cute to draw. So I did not like this. I gave it 2 stars basically because of the art. And that's Tomato the Familiar. He is an animal on the cover, and so I submitted for 300 points for sightseeing for this book. I had even more time, so I decided to pick up Magic for Liars, also fantasy, also queer author. And I was going to read it for sightseeing for set at a school. And I got into it last night. I listened to 47%. It's about this woman. She's a PI, and her sister is estranged, but also magical. And when there's a death at her sister's school, she is called in to try and solve the murder. And there's also a lot about trying to rebuild that relationship with her sister. I was interested. I was intrigued. And then my audiobook got sent back. It just disappeared. And so, yeah, I don't know when I'm going to finish this now. If you're new, I get chronic migraines, which means that I often have difficulty reading with my eyes, and I use audiobooks as accommodation. I could use an Audible credit and buy it, but I don't know if I'm liking it that much. I don't think this is a book I would probably reread, but I don't want to just quit halfway either. So we'll see. I might pick this up again this month. I might not. The other book I have on the go is The Fifth Season. I am still enjoying this, and I will update you when I have more to say about it. All right, so then we got our prompt. And in the video, she said we were going to Oz. And there are pictures of the Emerald City and the Yellow Brick Road. And so the prompt was going to be read a yellow or green book. But this was all a prank. Apparently in the sprints and Discord, there had been some conspiracies that we were going to have to read a yellow or a green book. And so she edited her video to make it seem like that's what we were going to do. It was very cute, very funny. But we are going to a real life city. We are going to Seoul, South Korea, and the prompt is to read a book with a light source on the cover. I haven't quite made up my mind about what I'd like to read, but I have 3 options, and I might pick something completely different. Who knows? But these are the ones I'm considering. The first is Last Night at the Telegraph Club by Melinda Lowe. There is it's hard to see with all the printed on stickers, but there is a street lamp right here. I think is also a host favorite, so I would earn 100 GRC if I were to read it. It is a historical fiction set in the 1950s about what I think is this underground gay club, and it looks interesting. It is YA, which always makes me hesitate a little bit, but it might be one of the better YA. I don't know. I also have Can't Spell Treason Without T. There is a fireplace letting off light. I want to read this. I was almost this is perfect. But there's also a conspiracy that we might have to read a book with books on the cover. And I don't have very many books like that. And this is the only one I can think of. So that's the only thing. It's keeping me hesitant. Should I pick this? Because what if we get something else? Who knows? And lastly, Children of Time by Adrian Tchaikovsky. There's a light source behind the planet. The only thing is, this is over 500 pages, and I'm pretty sure it's hard science fiction, so might not be a book I want to try and race through in 3 days. That's what's making me not sure. I am thinking I will choose something and I will let you know how it is going. I did want to mention the detour for Antananarivo was to post our favorite nonfiction book. If you've seen my May wrap-up, you might have heard me gushing about Disability Intimacy, edited by Alice Wong. This is my favorite nonfiction book of the year, so of course that's what I had to post. And I'm very eager to look at other people's because I'm always interested in finding good nonfiction. So I will probably peruse that after I pick out what book I'm going to read next. I will update you when I can. So today is day 22. Last time I checked in with you, I was perusing my options for what to read for the Soul prompt, which is to read a book with a light source on the cover. Did I pick up that hard sci-fi? No. Did I pick up the cozy fantasy? Also no. Did I pick up the third option? No. I was in a really weird mood and nothing was sounding appealing. And the fact that I would have to buy an audiobook when I was in such a uncertain, kind of slumpy mood. So I decided that whatever the first book on my library's available list was what I was going to listen. And so I picked up Fire at Headless Mountain. This was already on my TBR, so it wasn't a completely wild pick. But this is about 3 kids, and they're going back to the lake that they used to spend family summers at, and they want to scatter their mom's ashes there. However, their car breaks down, and they have to basically be in kind of a survival situation because there is a wildfire that is coming in close on them. This was really good, especially for a middle grade. There was a lot of tension and a lot of what's going to happen next. But the eldest sibling was learning Spanish, and so he would just randomly pepper in Spanish phrases. And I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of strange. But then he was like, ay caramba. And it just totally took me out of the book. Like, all I could picture was Bart. Like, yeah. I think I'm going to give it 3 stars. I think it's probably really good for middle grade. But I was in a weird mood and it was fine. So, yeah. It very much dealt with the grief of their mother, but also like realizing that she can live on through what she taught her children. And I thought that was a really sweet message. So I have made it to Soul. So I decided to pick up Magic for Liars and finish it out. Fortunately, the library was able to get me the audiobook quickly, and so I was able to listen to it. And I'm really glad I didn't spend a credit because this was also fine. Might have been my mood, but like I kind of saw who did it like well in advance, and I'm not really good at guessing things like that. And so I also feel like the author was pretty heavy-handed, and if this is one of her newer books, I might check out what else she has because I know she's written like 6 or 7 books now. But if this is one of her more recent ones, she might not be the author for me. There was a lot of shouting about what the characters' motivations were in a very heavy-handed way, and it just felt a little unpolished. But I liked this school, and I liked learning about what different magical abilities there were, and it was a good time. I'm going to give it 3 stars, and yeah. So I submitted this for 300 points for Set at a School, and then I also get an additional 50 for fantasy and 50 for queer author. So I was able to submit 400 points. We then had our detour, and it was to post a snack with our current read. And this is the picture I submitted. The only book I have on the go right now is the 5th season. So I'm going to be picking that back up for a while until we get our next prompt. There is chatter in the Discord thinking that this might be a really short leg because Brianna was like, don't dawdle on the detour, which maybe means there won't be as much time as usual. I will let you know more whenever we know what city we're going to next. So today is day 23. This morning I woke up to a new prompt. We are going to Bangkok, Thailand, and the prompt is to read a book that has at least 5 colors on it. Now, Bree did specify and say that different shades of colors count as multiple colors. So I originally picked up Can't Spell Treason Without T. This is a cozy fantasy with a sapphic relationship about people who decide to open up a bookstore / tea shop and try and escape their former responsibilities. It's been compared a lot to Legends and Lattes, and I do see the comparison. Unfortunately, I think Travis Baldree does it a lot better. I'm feeling very meh about this book. So I decided, all right, it's time for me to submit this bad boy. I am quite far through, and so I think I can finish this in the next few days. And it's over 500 pages, so I will definitely be flying so I can double the page count. And there are black, white, and different shades of green, blue, yellow. Yeah, so that's 5 at least. And I'm really loving this. We have found out some interesting information, which I think is going to open up like some of the lore. They kind of attest to like what their history of the world looks like and how it goes through all of these different seasons where, you know, basically humans have to hunker down and just survive. And this is just fantastic. I am definitely going to be picking up the second book in July because I will probably need to know what happens. I will need to know what happens. So I'm going to be picking this up for Bangkok's prompt. I may keep trying to read this. I mean, it would be worth quite a few points. And yeah, I did spend the credit to buy the audiobook. So part of me is like, fiscally, I don't like the idea of DNFing a book, but part of me is like, you're in a slump or whatever, so who cares? Like, you can always come back to it later if I want. So I may do that. I may not. We'll just see. And that's going to be the end of this vlog. We will be finishing up the last week with legs 8, 9, and 10 and finding out whoever wins the competition. So this has been a ton of fun. I love it so much. And yeah, I definitely think you should do it next year. And I'll see you in week 4.